Physical touch helps children feel safe, secure, loved, and helps their emotional regulation. I know with my children, if they're having a really tough time and you can just see their bodies really tense, if I ask for a cuddle, bring them in, I can breathe slowly and I can become myself. It really helps them regulate down back into a place that they can control their emotion and they can move on. Kia ora, hello, I'm Ruth Burko, a teacher turned mum here on a mission to demystify child's play through understanding play schemas. If you've ever found yourself asking, why is my child doing that? Whether it's throwing their soft toys, hiding stones around the house, or lining up their crayons, then you're in the right place, and certainly not alone. Here, we'll explore the magic of play through the lens of play schemas, those hidden, repeated patterns in your child's behaviour that holds the key to unlocking more meaningful play and connection. Through understanding play schemas, you'll be able to move beyond those one-off activities and understand the why behind your child's play. Join me each week as we dive into playful insights that will help you bring more joy, connection, and understanding into your parenting journey, and set the stage for a lifetime of learning. Let's dive on in. Hello, I'm Ruth Burko, and welcome to the Demystifying Child's Play podcast, where we look at how play schemas can support our everyday parenting, making it a lot more fun with a lot more joy and hopefully a lot less frustrating. And I'm really excited to be in this new series where we're having a look at love languages, how love languages and play schemas can go together to be a match made in heaven. This week we're starting with physical touch. Now, if you're thinking I've got no clue what love languages are, don't worry. Last week I did an introduction, so if you want you can go back to listen to that one. Otherwise, just start along here. Every week when we look at the different love languages, I'll be breaking down what each one is and giving explanations so you'll be able to journey along. I also highly recommend you getting the love languages book, either from the library, borrowing it from a friend, buying it for yourself, or winning a copy. If you'd like to win a copy, all you need to do is join my email list. And at the end of March 2025, what I'll do is I'll draw someone from that list. So if you're already on it, you're automatically in the draw. So head to playschemas.com and there'll be a button right there to join the email list, and then you can win yourself your own copy. So what I love is that love languages helps us connect with our children. It helps them know that they're loved in a way that they respond to and that they understand. But talking about physical touch, that might not be something that comes naturally to all of us parents, but it's something that all children definitely need. Something I found really interesting when I was reading through the book is that most parents primarily use physical touch only when necessary. So it might be for nappy changes or getting your child in and out of the car. There's not as much cuddles and kisses and playful wrestling as I thought there might be. But there's also so much research that shows babies and young children who receive regular cuddles and kisses and touch develop healthier emotional lives. So our kids need physical touch. But now, before we dive in, I do really want to front foot that even saying physical touch with kids can feel a little bit icky. There is so much out there about unsafe physical touch. While our children need and crave physical touch, us as parents and caregivers need to ensure that they're receiving it from safe and trusted adults, which in this day and age is sadly easier said than done. And I'm sure that I'm not the only one who knows someone closely who was abused by a family member or a close family friend. And it really does all feel a little bit overwhelming talking about such an important but sensitive subject with young children, which is why I didn't feel like I could do this episode without partnering with Victoria from the Safe Kids Project. Victoria is a registered psychologist who works in the field of childhood trauma, specialising in sexual abuse. I'm currently going through her signature 6-week Foundation to Body Safety course, and to say it's been eye-opening would be an understatement. I wasn't too far into the course before I said to my husband just how I believe that every parent should do an infant and child first aid course. Every parent really needs to have this in their toolkit. Through the course, Victoria doesn't only share about her professional background as a child psychologist, but she equips and empowers us as parents to have timely and educational conversations with our kids, to be able to weave body safety concepts into everyday life, with the aim of equipping and empowering our kids to have healthy boundaries through respect for their own bodies and others. And I've been loving the course so much that I've partnered with her, and I've got you a special little discount code. So if you're listening to this live, the next intake isn't until May 2025, but you can join the waitlist. And if you're listening any other time, have a look if it's on. Otherwise, you'll be able to join the waitlist too. And if you want a discount when you get to the checkout, you can enter the code PLAYSCHEMAS10 for a wonderful 10% discount. You can head directly to thesafekidsproject.com or head to playschemas.com/safe and I'll have all the information there. Okay, so now that we've addressed the elephant in the room, let's get comfortable. Whether you're out on a walk, catching a rare moment of quiet, or multitasking around the house, let's dive on and explore the first of the 5 love languages, physical touch, and how we can incorporate it into our everyday play. And as I just said, the whole series is based on the 5 love languages of children book by Gary Chapman, and I do highly recommend you get your hands on a copy. Now, last week I did share on Instagram how I read in colour, and it was probably an even split of messages with people saying, "That's so me," with "I wish I could do that," or "I can't believe you're happy to deface a book." If you want to know what I'm talking about, have a look at my Instagram to see what I mean. It's at play_schemas. And remember, if you can wait till the end of the series, everyone on the mailing list will be in the draw to win a copy. No matter where in the world you are, as long as post can get to your house, you can be in the draw to win. So head to playschemas.com to join the mailing list before the end of March 2025. If it's after March 2025, join the mailing list anyway. You never know what's just around the corner. Okay, why does physical touch matter for all children? Physical touch is the easiest love language to integrate into daily life. It naturally pairs with words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, and acts of service. And both boys and girls need it. But girls tend to receive more affectionate touch than boys. In this culture, no matter where in the world we are, it seems to me that boys need to be macho and they need to do these boy things, and girls need lots of cuddles and kisses. We really need to change that script. Both boys and girls need both things. Girls need the chance to have their own autonomy and to be able to do big tasks, and boys need cuddles and kisses. So have a think about how you're showing love to your children, especially if you've got one of each gender, ensuring that you're giving them both love through physical touch. Physical touch helps children feel safe, secure, love, and helps their emotional regulation. I know with my children, if they're having a really tough time and you can just see their bodies really tense, if I ask for a cuddle, bring them in, I can breathe slowly and I can be calm myself. It really helps them regulate down back into a place that they can control their emotion and they can move on. And the way your physical touch will grow and change as your child grows and changes. From a little baby and newborn, it's just a lot of hugging, a lot of kisses and little cuddles. Young children, there might be some hand holding as well. And as you get older and older, there might be wrestling, piggyback rides, high fives, playful taps. And then as you get older to the teens and tweens, you might have playful jabs, hair ruffling, shoulder squeezes. There's lots of different ways you can incorporate playful touch into your everyday life. And if you make it a daily habit, it can be really easy. So it could be a simple hug at drop-off or pickup, and that could make a huge emotional difference to the day. You might be surprised, it actually might make a huge emotional difference to your day as well. A cuddle at bedtime or when reading together also strengthens your emotional connection. It's a lovely way to be together. Okay, we're going to dive straight into now how using play schemas we can incorporate physical touch. Now, games and movement-based activities are a great base for all of them, and especially if you're using any nature play outside, because outside gives you room for that physical side of things, as well as the cuddling. Some examples could be tickling games, chase and tag, rough-and-tumble play, swinging, spinning, or carrying games. I know if I crouch down on the ground, one of my boys, my youngest, will always come to my back and grab on, just pushing his legs up, just like willing me to stand up with him on his back. Now, if you really want to have a look at some of the nature-based play ideas, you can head to playschemas.com/free, and I've got a nature resource there already. Okay, let's dive into the play schemas. So we'll start with trajectory. So remember, trajectory is exploring movement through straight lines, curves, or angles. It's movement and play. One idea is aeroplane play. I'm not sure about you, but currently my youngest is in a stage where anytime he sees a plane going, he's pointing and going, plane, 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 plane. He loves it. So playing like an aeroplane can be really fun. What you can do is you can lift them up on their tummy, having their arms out, run them around the backyard, run them around inside, making aeroplane noises. Either you or them could. You've got that movement in there. What you could also try is swing together. Again, I know with my youngest at the playground, if he's on the swing, he currently sits in the baby one, so he can't slip out. He's not happy until I'm sitting next to him swinging too. So what we do is we'll swing next to each other and then we'll try and hold hands, which can be a little bit tricky. But what you can also do is just the general pushing them. If I'm pushing him, I'll go and grab his feet or grab his knees or try and tickle him as he goes. Doing that with the gentle pushes maintains some contact, gives that trajectory and that physical touch. You can also do high fives and claps. You might think of some rhythmic clapping games or high five sequences that you can use together, especially as they get older. You can teach them some games which also improves their hand-eye coordination. Okay, moving to transporting. So transporting is the scheme where we have children move objects from one place to another, often in bags or boxes, or maybe just in their pockets or in their hands. So one thing you could do is piggyback rides, as I was saying before, getting the child on my back. And while they're doing that, you can let them deliver things while riding on your back. So it could be, I might be outside, we've got a current glut of zucchinis or courgettes, depending on where you are. What I've done with my little one is when he's wanting to do lots of transportation is I put him on my back, leant down so he can pick up the zucchini, and then we'll go and deliver it inside. Sometimes I need to do multiple trips because I still want him to hold on with one hand, but part of that is that moving around, but also that physical touch. You can also do holding hand with delivery. You could carry items together, holding hands and then carrying one thing each, or you could also be carrying a bucket between you. You're not physically touching, but you're both together and you can feel that pull and push. Which kind of adds to the next one, pull and push games. What you could do is use a wagon or cart or box to transport items with teamwork, working together to pull and push things, especially when they're feeling a little bit of resistance, which they quite like. Okay, let's go to the next schema, which is enveloping. Now, enveloping and enclosure can quite often be confused, but enveloping is covering or wrapping objects. So it's when they're hidden away. So a really easy one for this, especially in winter, is being able to cuddle in a blanket, wrapping them up in a cozy blanket for a snuggle session. We have behind one of our couches where our blankets are. For summer, we'd actually put them in the blanket box because we thought we didn't need them. It was probably gone for maybe a week or so until our boy was like, where's all the blankets gone? Like, it's too hot. He's like, I just want to cuddle under one. And so they're back there and they're quite often in and out through the day, whether they're being used for huts or even sitting under while we're reading a book. He quite likes that. So that's that closeness, that physical touch, as well as the enveloping. You could do hide and hug. You can encourage them to hide under the blanket and then surprise them with a hug. What we quite often do is we'll play hide and seek, and we're at the age where hiding under a blanket is a very good place to hide. And what we'll do is we'll sneak around the room being like, oh, are they behind the sofa? No. Or are they under the coffee table? No. Oh, look, there's a lovely blanket. I'm just going to sit down and cuddle the middle of this blanket, and then I'll cuddle the middle and pick them up, and there's giggles galore. You can also do hand wrapping, where you can put your hands on each other and wrap them together with some fabric and then walk around together. It's a real close way of getting together, and you can give them lots of gentle tickles. Okay, so now it's the enclosure one. Like enveloping, but instead of putting things in bags and boxes, you're placing objects inside boundaries. So it might be that they've put a whole lot of pillows around and they're putting things inside. So for this, if you've listened, building forts is one of the top of the list. Very easy if you're okay with your couch being dismantled. And then what you can do is once it's constructed, you can snuggle inside the fort. What we quite often do is we've got this little moon lamp, we'll bring it inside, we'll be able to read books together. What you could do, and again, is doing some hands-on assistance. So guide them with building enclosures and blocks. So it might be that you're carrying a pillow together, or you're both doing something where you're touching them or you're physically moving things with them. Another one is you can do some tactile boundaries. So you could do a human enclosure. So you can put your arms around them and let them slip in and out. Quite often my boys like it if I stand up and they go round and round my legs. I might show you that one. There's lots of different ways you can use your bodies. It could be that you go together and lie on the ground and touch hands and feet together and see if you can put things in the middle. If you've got a cat, you can see if it will jump in and out. Okay, next one is connection, which is joining objects or parts together. This goes very easy, is hand holding. So join hands is any part of the day. It could be during a game where you make chains and you've got more people together. It could be you're just walking around holding hands. It could be when they're going to sleep. It could be when you're playing games. It could be when you're reading a book. Any hand holding or just touching with your hand resting on their body while you're reading or playing together. What you could do is you could be building together and have your knees touching each other while you're sitting. So it's a really subtle way of touching, but they're still getting that physical touch. Another way is just having them sit on your lap. They've got their body connected to yours, and you can do any activity that works. Even maybe it could be one of those nights where you're eating dinner where they just want to sit on your lap. If you reframe your thinking, maybe they're just really craving physical touch as well. So let them sit on your lap. If it's okay dinner, I can imagine spaghetti might be pretty tricky, but sitting on your lap to eat dinner and they just get that extra love and that extra physical touch that they're craving. Okay, so next, after connection comes disconnection. So it's when you're separating objects or parts. What you could do is you could play tug of war. Maybe you could play a soft, playful tug of war and then follow up with a really nice hug. It could be where you've got inside and you've got a little thing to pull, or outside a little bit longer. Or what you could do is make things that easily pull apart. You could do some puzzle play where you're having the puzzle made and then you just connect them, and at the end you can give high fives or squeeze hands when they're breaking apart the puzzles. So think about how you can use physical touch to celebrate things. Next is rotation. This is when they're exploring spinning or circular movements. Now, this might not be everyone, but you could spin together. You could dance in circles or twirl around with them playfully. I go to a music group where you're part of the song as you spin around, and it's quite funny. You can see all the kids spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning one way, and the adults spin one way and then back the other way and one way and back the other way. But we're joining in. So think about how you can join in with spinning. Or maybe just have a giggle if you fall over after spinning too much. If you've got a spinning top or a toy or something you can spin around, you can spin it around and watch that together and have a go at doing it, especially with the older kids. Even bottle tops, milk tops, you can have a go at spinning. What you could do is you could do some wheelbarrow walks. So support their legs while on their hands they walk. You've got the connection and they're moving their hands around and around. Next, we look at positioning. This is when they arrange objects in an order. Now, it could be any order that makes sense for them. So make sure you're not thinking, oh, they're not doing positioning. It's not in the right order. It could be the right order for them. So with this one, you could do some lap time sorting. Let them sort toys while sitting on your lap. You could do some guided hand movements where you could arrange items together while gently guiding their hands. You could play a mirror game where you each put your hands on each other's hands and move them around in different positions. Or you could do special back pats. There are different songs and rhymes you can do. I'll do an example on my Instagram page, which is @_playschemas, of one that my boy is currently loving. It goes, X marks the spot with the circle and the dot. And I'll show you all of it. He loves it. And quite often at the end he goes, more. So do it again. He goes, more. So we do it again. And that is a really important part of physical touch, is knowing when they want it and also when they want it to stop. So one thing that we've taught our boys before doing the Safe Kids project, and what's really emphasized in the Safe Kids project doing the course, is that your kids know their boundaries. They can ask for more when they want it. And they can also ask for you to stop. And when they say stop. You listen to what they're saying. Another way is just gently patting their back when they're successfully completing a task. And this is a really easy reward. A back pat, a gentle squeeze on their shoulders, high fives, any of that time where you're connecting bodies. Okay, the orientation schema. This is exploring viewpoints or directions, often from different angles. So what you could do is upside down play. You could lift them upside down and let them hang off you. So quite often my boys will be on my waist and then they'll fling backwards and we'll walk around like that. So they can get the upside down, the orientation, and they get the connection. You can take turns leading some piggyback riding. So when you've got them on your back, you can let them direct where to look and where to go, which can be quite funny. Also, sometimes my boys try and piggyback me. Now, you can imagine that my 3-year-old and my 1.5-year-old can't piggyback me, but they'll pretend that I'm on their back. I'll be walking along quite awkwardly, but then I can direct them too. So it's a fun way of doing it. You can also do interactive pointing. You can hold their hands and guide them to point in different objects. You can say, I'm pointing somewhere, what am I pointing at? And see if they can see where you're holding their hand to point at and what objects you're pointing at. Okay, let's look at transformation. Transformation is when you've got changing states. So it could be mixing or molding. It could be ice to water. It could be making Play-Doh or doing baking. So you could do some messy play. This is where touch can come in. So you can mix Play-Doh or mix cakes or mix mud together with hands. You could do some hand molds. You could shape some Play-Doh together and then pushing over to get their handprints in, which is a great one for Christmas or grandparent presents. You could do some fun face paint. You could playfully apply face paint to hands or cheeks. Let them do it to you and you to them. It can be quite a fun experience. So that was a really quick run through of the 10 different play schemas and ideas of how they could all work for physical touch. As I said, physical touch is one of the easiest ones to add into your everyday. It was really eye-opening, as I said at the start, how some parents only touch their kids for necessary things, so nappy changing or getting them in and out of the car, but it can be really easy to get into the habit. If it's not something that you normally would be comfortable with, think about it and work on it. But with that, there is a balance, and as I said before, you really need to respect boundaries. Never force physical touch on a child. Watch for cues like when they're pulling away or tensing up, and when they're older, you can talk about their comfort levels, but even when they're younger, you can teach them strategies. You can show them how when you want to stop, you say stop, and you can show that when you're looking at their face and you go, oh, I can see that you don't want this anymore. I'm going to stop now. There's so much discussion. As I've said, if you head to the Safe Kids project, you can join that waitlist, join their next course, and it gives you so many scripts and language and ways to incorporate how they can be body safe in everyday life so that it's a really easy way to get into your conversations. Through thinking about this love language and all the love languages, we also really need to be mindful about using love languages in a negative way. If you're withholding hugs or affection as punishment, it can be deeply hurtful if all they're craving is physical touch. But we'll go more into this later. And again, I highly recommend looking at the Love Languages for Children book because it gives a lot more detail into this. And thinking about your child's emotional needs really goes back into where you're thinking about play schemas and emotional needs together. Because just like love languages, play schemas are those patterns of behaviour that helps us understand your child's needs. When you're noticing, acting, and responding to them, it applies to both love languages and schemas. If a child desires physical touch but isn't receiving it, they might express it negatively. They might be constantly seeking physical attention by doing negative things, by maybe hitting a sibling or running into you or pulling things. They're trying to get the physical touch that they're not getting. They're becoming more reactive. So have a think about how things are also being shown negatively that might actually be what they're craving. Okay, so physical touch is a love language that anybody can learn, even if it doesn't come naturally. So make sure if you haven't done it yet, head to the 5lovelanguages.com/quizzes to find out what your own one is to really help you with your children. It can easily be woven into those everyday moments, whether it's a hug in the morning or a snuggle during story time. If it's an exciting game of tag outside, those small gestures of touch can help them build security and trust. And by making small daily efforts, we can help our children feel secure, loved, and connected, because every child needs physical touch. But those whose primary love language is touch will thrive on it even more. Now, don't forget, respecting boundaries will never force physical touch on your child if they resist. What you can do is you can use play schemas as a tool to naturally incorporate touch into your child's everyday experiences. And as I've said, just so you do not forget, head to the Safe Kids Project to find out more about how you can have everyday conversations with your kids to keep them safe. Just head to playschemas.com/safe and I'll have all the links there. So this week, my challenge for you is to try one new way to incorporate physical touch. Next week, we'll explore the love language of words of affirmation and how to connect it with play schemas. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Okay, that is all for today. What I'll do is I'll share the links mentioned in the show notes, which is playschemas.com/014, episode 14. So head there and you can recap what you've learned today. Also, don't forget to sign up to the mailing list to be in to win a copy of the 5 Love Languages for Children book. And if you're loving this podcast, please share it with a friend, leave a review, or connect with me on Instagram at @play_schemas. And remember, until next time, today is a great day to play.